Privacy. There isn't a lot of it these days, and despite what you're told, it's getting a hell of a lot worse. Cause, damn it, your entire existence is up for grabs in today's digital world. And we're gonna talk about it, all of it, and what it is your damn privacy, or lack of it. Despite being defined as a state of simply not being observed or not being in the companies of others, privacy is so much more than just wandering into your bedroom and locking the door so you don't have to put up with all the idiots making demands of you these days. So much more. Real privacy has everything to do with control. Control not only over your personal space or the absence of being observed, but also control of what data like your bank accounts or perhaps pictures, along with what thoughts and ideas you have. Privacy, then, is all about control over how those things are made available to others. So let's begin this illusion with asking ourselves, why is privacy important? Yes, we know that privacy is important to protect us against theft, and that privacy allows a safe refuge from the world when we shut the doors of our homes behind us. Privacy also prevents abuse from government overreach. But that's the easy answer to the importance of privacy, because the need for being private runs deeper. Privacy allows for freedom of thought and individual growth without manipulation. And it does so by giving a sense of safety when it comes to forming a new idea. When you're not being observed or watched, it gives one the encouragement to research and talk about diverse subjects without fear of being labeled. And you also happen to grow as a person. Privacy allows for a refuge where you can take risk. A diary kept from prying eyes ensures contemplative thought and offers up a sense of independence. And when you're in charge of your own choices, yeah, there is growth there. Well, I don't think there's a person alive who won't argue that personal privacy isn't important and that privacy is a good thing from a historical point of view. I don't think there's an awful lot of privacy given to anybody, and that had to suck for our ancestors of old. By that, I mean privacy was physically unattainable, simply because families not only lived with each other, they lived with their farm animals as well. In fact, in the scheme of human history, privacy is kind of a new idea, an idea that's only a couple of 100 years old. Yeah, go figure. Despite the famed philosopher Aristotle describing the political sphere as opposed to the personal sphere, privacy wasn't a thing till recently in our history. To be clear here, we've always desired and understood what personal privacy is, but privacy wasn't a realistic concept till the advent of the modern home, and it certainly wasn't a legal concept till, the 20th century. While the phrase "a man's home is his castle" dates back to the 17th century and is the basis for the belief that a man's home is indeed his personal realm, the concept of privacy back then was one of security and sanctity of the home, free from the intrusion of the state. And yes, it is that concept that your home is, or at least should be, free from government breaking down your door and barging in. And that is linked to our Fourth Amendment. You know, the one that protects you from unreasonable search and seizure, a founding belief here in America. With that said, legal interpretations of what exactly privacy is are based on an old Harvard Law article that defined privacy simply as a right to be left alone. And that article was wrote in 1890, just 10 years before the advent of the 20th century. And that right was recognized 15 years later in a legal case called Pavish versus New England Life Insurance. But it took another 60 years till the first real law giving you any kind of privacy was passed here in America, and that was the Privacy Act. And yep, a little thing known as Watergate had an awful lot to do with the Privacy Act getting passed. Watergate was important because during the investigation, it came to light that government surveillance was an actual thing, that Nixon had listed people who were considered his enemies, and there was a god-awful lot of abuse of personal data by the FBI and the IRS, all for personal retribution. And here we are today in the 21st century, where no one, and I mean no one, has a lot of privacy these days. And while you might feel comfortable as you surf the net, you know prying eyes are following you everywhere. Good God, you need a password for this and a password for that. And we all know those passwords don't do much good. Even as complicated as the powers that be want us to make them. And yeah, instead of asking me to come up with a 10-letter password comprised of every character on my keyboard, how about just spending some money and just upping the security on your website? Then again, if you were to do that, well, I'd probably never ever be able to log in if I ever forgot my password. And yeah, that is a thing. Privacy. It's an interesting concept, and I'm really surprised that privacy wasn't even a thing till 100, 200 years ago. Makes me want to do a shot of tequila when I learn shit like that. Yeah, Patron, the good shit. Privacy. Yeah, I get it. Or rather, I don't get it, because nobody has any real privacy these days. In matter of fact, my bank account was just hacked for like just under $1,000, and he had to get a new card. Yeah, go figure. But you know what? That shit is just gonna keep getting worse, and it's gonna keep getting worse, and it's gonna keep getting worse. I'm just telling you. And our politicians are so far behind the curve when it comes to our privacy. Yeah. There's not, all you can do is just shed a tear. Because the day's going to come when, you know what? Banks ain't going to refund you money anymore if somebody takes it. Because they're going to get sick and tired of losing and having to reimburse everybody. Okay, maybe that might not happen, but I just don't know. All I do know is that the issue of privacy is going to get a lot worse as time goes on. And with that, think about it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, especially if you made it this far and you did subscribe. And I hope you did. But with that said, enjoy the day. Spring is here.